I got my ring feeder put back where I like it with a bale in it, so life is good again. It worked fine having it up on the hill, but there were some issues. If you saw previous videos, I complained about how much they were moving that feeder around, and with all the sprinklers that are up there, it just was not a recipe for good things to happen. They broke a ton of sprinklers up there that I'm gonna have to come back and fix before we get into irrigation season. With the feeder down here, there's really nothing that they can hurt. They can slide this thing all around if they want, although I noticed that on flat ground, they generally don't choose to do that. But we got this done now, so let's go see what other kind of trouble we can get into. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. On the way back from the steer pasture, I figured I'd stop over here at the winter pasture and check on things, and it's pretty quiet. Everybody looks pretty happy and content over here. It's very encouraging to me that as I drive my pickup in, the cows don't all rush out there to see if I brought them a bale. It tells me that they're not very hungry. They're probably getting enough to eat just off of grass now. Well, I guess we will go over and move the feed wagon so that they have access to the hay that has fallen down below it, and then we can move on to the next thing. There's not much left on the ground, but they sure seem happy when they find it. Today is an absolutely gorgeous day. It's, I think, 60 degrees right now. It's supposed to even get a little bit warmer today before the sun goes down. So it's making me think, or strongly suspect, that I will not have to feed hay out here for very much longer. Doesn't mean I won't have to start up again later, but I think that we're probably gonna start to see the beginning of that spring flush, which means I won't be having to supplement these cows with hay anymore. I'm down here in the back pasture now, and I want to update you guys on my bird scare tape experiment. And I'm happy to report it's only been, what has it been, 2 days now, I think, since I put this stuff up. But in those 2 days, I have not seen any geese parked out here in this pasture, and that makes me happy. Now, a day like today, there's really no geese around in the rice fields or anywhere, but yesterday there were geese in the rice fields, there were geese in this area, but none of them chose to land here. So that makes me think that the scare tape is an effective solution if you're only trying to keep birds out of a place for a short period of time. I think if the geese were exposed to this stuff long enough that eventually they would become used to it and it wouldn't be effective anymore. And while we're down here, I'll give you guys a little update on this overseeding experiment that I tried this last fall. If you guys don't remember, I'll catch you up. I had some seed left over from when I planted my hay field, and rather than send that back to the place where I bought it, I just kept it and I spread it out here in the pasture. Some of this stuff I aerated before I put the seed down, some I did not. I just put the seed on undisturbed ground, and there's a definite trend that I'm noticing here. Let me show you what it is. I know sometimes color doesn't come out on camera like you see it in real life, but hopefully you guys can see this sort of lighter green colored grass here that's growing all along the cow trail. This is where we planted some of this stuff, and it is coming up. I aerated this pathway here, and then I ran over it with the spreader, and you can see that it is working. Here, all of this grass basically that you see is stuff that we planted. The other thing that really made a difference was whether or not I aerated the ground prior to spreading the seed. Right now, I am in a part of the field that I know was aerated, and I don't know how well it's gonna come through on camera, but I can see a lot of sprouts sprouts coming up in this spot. Looking out across the aerated part of the pasture, this is pretty consistent. There's no thick stand of hay that was planted, but that's not how we planted it. I think I only put it on at like 20, I want to say 20 pounds per acre. A very light application, which was intentional because we were planting it on top of an existing stand of grass. When you get over here to the part of the pasture that was not aerated, I have a very difficult time finding anything sprouting that I planted. It's not to say that I cannot find any at all, but I have a very difficult time. I think this looks like something we planted right here. But then as I look around, I see another one. It's about, I don't know, 10, 12 feet away. I'm back here at the shop now, and after hauling the Arrowquip chute on this trailer, it made me really realize how bad I want some D-rings on this. I've been wanting them for a while. In fact, I've been wanting them for so long that I've got them in the shop. I just haven't welded them on yet. So I think I want to do that this afternoon. But as I was kind of cleaning this area up, getting ready to do some work, I've got all these piles of sticks and these branches that have fallen down, and I thought, you know what? Today would be a good day to fire up the Dodge, load up all of this brush, and drive it down to the brush pile, take advantage of that dump bed, see how it all works. And I made that mistake that I try not to make, which is I started working before I started filming. Took a little doing to get this Dodge started because it's been sitting for a while, and the last time I ran it, I had it idling, and I'll just tell you, I forgot it was running. So it ran out of gas, died, and then it killed the battery. So now I had to jump the battery. Anyway, long story short, it's running now. It's warming up, and I've got to try to get it out of this little spot here. I probably should just move the stock trailer so that I could easily get it out of here, but I think I can maneuver it out of here. So I'm gonna try that first. I thought it was gonna take a multi-point turn. That wasn't even that bad. I guess a two-wheel drive truck turns pretty sharp. Well, let's hope we don't get stuck out here. I'll do you a favor and time lapse the bed going up. Work like a charm. Takes a little while, but it does the job. Now that we got the Dodge on some wet, slick ground, let's see what this old 360 can do. Well, that was fun. What were we doing again today? Oh yeah, welding on this trailer. So the plan was to take these 8 D-rings and just sort of spread them out around the trailer. I know a couple specific spots that I want them for when I strap down round bales. The other ones, we're just gonna kind of go on the trailer, you know, splitting the difference between each one. But as I looked at the trailer, I had another idea, and I think it's better. It's definitely easier. Let me show you what it is. If you look at the sides of this trailer, you will notice that there are stake pockets, but there's nothing else here to tie stuff down, and that's kind of the problem that I have sometimes. Usually what you'll see on trailers is called a rub rail, which is a piece of flat bar that just goes up against the outside of the stake pockets, and then you have, you know, an infinite number of different places that you could put straps or chains to tie your load down. I just so happen to have a 2 by 1/2 inch piece of flat bar that I could make rub rails, at least on the front of the trailer, and I think that's actually going to be a lot better than D-rings, because if I put a D-ring right here, then I can only have an attachment point right here. But if I put a rub rail on the whole front of this trailer, then I've got so many more options of where I could tie stuff down. Where I definitely want some D-rings is on this piece of angle iron here that goes across the front. When I'm tying round bales down on this trailer, I always want an attachment point that would be right in the middle of where the bale is. So I'll just have to find the center of this and then put D-rings 2 feet away from center. That would put them right in the middle of the round bales. And then one more place that I want to put D-rings is right here inside the fender. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like every time I put something on this trailer, I wish that I could put a strap or a chain right here in the middle, but where you've got the fender, you really don't have any options of where you can tie stuff down. Well, I think we pretty much got her here. If you're wondering why do I weld the D-rings to a plate of 1/2 inch steel and then weld that plate to the trailer, the theory behind that is that when you do it that way, you spread the load out. Like when you put something on that D-ring and pull it tight with a chain binder or tie strap or whatever it might be, you're spreading that load out over a greater area. Like in this instance, we would be spreading that load out over either weld on either side of the D-ring hinge, for lack of a better term, and then all 4 welds around the plate that is welded to the trailer. It's probably more important to do this if, like, let's say you were welding D-rings on a flatbed or something where you were only putting them on 10 gauge steel, which is like 1/8 of an inch. If you were to just weld the D-ring directly to that thin metal, it would be a lot more likely to just tear out of that. But if you weld the D-ring piece to a thicker plate of steel and then weld that to the thinner metal, you're gonna have a lot better luck that way. This trailer is made out of channel iron, which is roughly 1/4 of an inch thick, so this might have not been necessary, but you guys know how I do it. If I'm gonna build it, I'm gonna overbuild it and hopefully not have to worry about it again. So after adding several D-rings plus the rub rail here on the front of the trailer, I think next time I'm at the steel yard, I'll have to buy some more of that flat bar and put a short rub rail here on the back. I would have done that today, but I didn't have enough steel to reach that span, so it'll have to wait for another day. And if you're thinking, well, what's wrong with just putting the straps on the stake pockets? That's what I've been doing, but what I don't like about that, with chains they're okay, but with these straps like I've got here, the bad thing about that is when you hook this on the stake pocket, the strap itself is pressing on the edge of the stake pocket, and eventually it's just gonna wear through that strap. Compare that to when we put the strap on the rub rail, and you can see that the metal hook is the only thing touching metal, and the strap itself is safely up above where it's not gonna be wearing on that and eventually, you know, wearing through it. So all in all, very happy with how this turned out. And as I have been spending a lot of time around this trailer, looking at it, working on it today, you know, you can't help but notice the other things that it needs. And the biggest thing, the biggest problem at least, is these fenders. These things are in terrible shape. They're flimsy, they're cracked, they're broken, they're bent, all kinds of problems. And I think that'll probably be the next project on this trailer, but that's gonna have to wait for another day. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.